Morning, guys. I want to show you something that I'm sure that most of you didn't even know about until now. I just never put it on any video because, sometimes you get so overwhelmed with everything and you just don't want to add any more fuel to the fire or people gone bonkers, whatever. And it gets old. This is from the Plain Dealer, the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Saturday, September 25th, 1999. Now, this kind of struck me odd at the time when this happened. You got to remember Clinton was probably still in office. Carlsbad, New Mexico. Two German Air Force jets collided yesterday over southeast New Mexico, but the four pilots ejected safely, parachuted to the ground near a ranch. The accident involved two European-made Tornado aircraft belonging to the German Air Force. Happened shortly before 3 p.m. The German Luftwaffe has trained its pilots at Hoffman for years. Remember, this is September 25th. This is just a little bit later. This is from the Salem News, Salem, Ohio, October 7th, 1999. Anyway, he says, this guy here, this Bob Green, he says, when I saw the Associated Press bulletin move across the wire last week, I took a quick look at the calendar to make certain that the date was not April 1st. But it wasn't. It was autumn. It wasn't April Fool's Day. It came out of New Mexico, Carlsbad, New Mexico. The planes collided in air. The planes were from a German flight training facility at Holloman Air Force Base near Mango. I can't pronounce it. Anyway, it's northwest of the Christ site over Sitting Bull Falls. Okay, these Tornado strike attack planes, which belong to the German Air Force Base, Air Force, were on a training mission at mid-level altitude. Each plane carried a student pilot and an instructor. They've been training there for years. They have about 580 military personnel and about 25 Tornado airplanes. So what is the story? But the Luftwaffe has set up its own flight center on American soil. The German Air Force Base flying maneuvers with hundreds of its military men involved over the United States. He called the Pentagon. I should zoom this in a little bit because he said, yes, the German Air Force Base has a fighter plane operation out there. If I'm not mistaken, he referred me to the U.S. military command post at Holloman Air Force Base. There, a base spokesman, Robert Pepper, said that the Luftwaffe does indeed have an operation on the grounds of the U.S. Air Force right in the continental U.S., more than one operation actually. So he referred to these other foreign military SEAL programs. We train German air crews to fly the F-4 Phantom. The planes belong to the Germans. They pay their planes over here. They bring their planes over here and they pay for their training. The guy said, yeah, it's like Top Gun. They learn to be instructors. They like to train their fighter pilots in Mexico because of the weather. If you're conducting a training program and you want to start and end on schedule, the weather we have here is a big help. The Germans are like that. They need a good place to do low-level flying. Germany only has 13% larger in square miles than the whole state of New Mexico. Okay, but anyway, so now you know the rest of the story. Here's something else you didn't see. Okay, this is the Salem News, December 10th, 2002. There's a new pact that allows Canadian troops New pact allows Canadian and U.S. troops to cross the border. This is December 10th, 2002. Canada and the United States have signed a military cooperation agreement that allows each country's troops to cross the border in an emergency. Faced with such as the September 11th, North American neighbors expanded their military cooperation beyond their partnership in NATO and Canada's role in North American aerospace defense, or NORAD, in Colorado. Under the agreement, either country can request military help from the other. Any American troops operating in Canada will be under the command of a Canadian officer, while the Canadian troops will be operating under U.S. command. Canadian forces, their goal is to use available force in the best way. For example, American troops in Washington State could respond quicker to a bioterrorism attack in Vancouver, British Columbia, than Canadian troops in the province of Ontario. The agreement calls for more joint operations exercises against terrorism. It also creates a new planned group to study how the two countries could deploy military forces and emergency services in a terrorist attack or other disaster. Remember that. Or another disaster. You know, like civil uprising. Wouldn't be a good idea for them to stick their nose into our business. Okay, here we go. This is Salem News, Tuesday, November 4th, 1997. This is Columbus. Conspiracy theories aired. Conspiracy theorist Phyllis Cooey didn't feel quite so alone over the weekend. She was among 4,000 people from across the United States who gathered at the State Fairground for the second annual Conspiracy Theory Convention. It's an opportunity for us to make a comparison of what we know and what we hear in the regular media and the regular bookstores. Most people don't have time to find out who the enemy is. Convention visitors could check out our booths selling night vision equipment. They listen to lectures on how to prevent their families against El Nino, how to preserve religious faith during the New World Order, and how to look for the evidence of the United States, how to look for evidence of United Nations troops and foreign police in the United States. Attendance at such a convention is growing because people continue to become more suspicious of the government and the mainstream media. That was in 97, people. Columbus, Ohio. Now, this was their second one. Apparently this goes on all the time. So this was November 4th. So you might, if you're interested in that kind of stuff and you're near the area, find out what's going on, go down there, check it out. You might pick up a little bit more knowledge of a lot of things. Okay, people, I just wanted you to see that thing about the Air Force. And here's my cat. Thanks for watching.